Hello everyone, this is Youth Dragon, and welcome back to another episode of Fire Emblem Heroes. Here we are once again, summoning on yet another banner. This time around, it's Alear's Legendary Heroes banner. And it just so happens that we're summoning so frequently because Intelligent Systems is checking the stuff we're looking for. But the main objective today is getting one copy of Legendary Male Robin. If we want to greed, we can go for 2 copies, but then that pretty much increases our budget through the roof, so we're probably just going to go with a single copy and call it a day. So naturally then our priority is green, and for our purposes on this banner, it's probably colorless afterwards, then red, then blue. Colorless would be cool for Guidance 4 from Rearmed Tana, but we're not going to actually be actively burning orbs trying to pick up copies of her off of a Legendary Heroes banner because the rates for pulling specific units is 2 brain damage. we're just not. If we pick her up, cool. If not, not the end of the world. Guidance 4 is definitely still pretty strong, if not complete meta, but we have Gatekeeper and possibly more effects on the horizon, so could definitely see that being a thing. And of course, we've actually already picked up a Rhea here, so if we get another one, that's Scowl Fodder, which is cool. And Ashera, sure, we can get more merges, that's about it. And then on green, of course, we have Legendary Alear. We'll talk about her more as we summon here, but we also have Legendary Ninian, who is much better scoring than Legendary Zero. We're not gonna plus 10 her, but certainly would be nice to have a 3 movement dancer. We still I don't believe we have one yet, which is kind of hilarious, but here we go. Gonna start off our usual memes of getting not what we're looking for. 10 out of 10, but yeah, blue is pretty much a dud for us. We don't really need more knots unless we want attack speed menace fodder. We actually don't have Legendary Fae, and I guess Anankos, however the heck you pronounce his name, is fine, but we're not gonna be burning orbs trying to go for him, so overall, going over Legendary Alear, definitely an interesting take for a legendary hero. Of course, she is fire season, so she honestly doesn't have much competition in the dragon department in fire season. But what she is in competition for is being a brave weapon attacker. So of course, there's also legendary Shez. Oh man, that was a lot of lag. There's also legendary Shez and female Shez, and honestly, I don't know what to think. The thing with Legendary Alear is she's specifically designed to be optimal in a player's hands, because if you haven't noticed, if people haven't mentioned it yet, the only part that always works is the first part, which of course is a very strong effect. Having effectively a bonfire for your speed is pretty good in this meta. Although, of course, with all the speed debuffing going on, it's, again, not necessarily the greatest thing in the world, but most of the time, you're probably not getting her below, I don't know, 60 speed in the worst case scenario for her. So chances are you're going to get at least 30 damage off of it, which is pretty good. Granted, it is technically non-trivial to proc. She does have attack speed pledge, and with her brave weapon and accelerating special trigger, assuming the opponent doesn't have guard or tempo, she's going to be able to player phase proc it on the second hit, which is pretty nice. But yeah, the special, when it's in the AI's hand, it's literally just a bonfire for speed, which is still fine, but it's definitely an intentional nerf from Intelligent Systems. for her remix that's going to make it not let that Kappa. Jokes aside, again, the main purpose is to be used in a player's hands because when you have that ally support, being able to give damage reduction, piercing on special proc to any unit you want as long as you're ally supported is pretty darn strong. Of course, I was memeing around with folks in whatchamacallit, in various Fire Emblem discords, and I was just like, you should just pair with Iroh double Supreme Astra damage reduction piercing. I know a bunch of people have already figured that one out, but there's definitely a lot of potential there as a support. Attack speed pledge, of course, as a skill is pretty solid. It being infantry only is, of course, was pretty expected from my point of view, but some people were really hoping it was going to be like melee only or something, so flyers and cabs could absolutely annihilate worlds, but no, that's not a thing. At the end of the day, though, having the brave weapon is definitely going to help her last longer in terms of a combat unit. As an enemy phased unit with Null C Disrupt 4, pretty darn solid, especially when you're stacking that 30% damage reduction with her innate 40% damage reduction in her weapon. And if you are using her with ally support, she can get effectively the armored beacon / armored flow damage reduction effect, which is in this case it's 40%, and of course it should be not pierceable by skills like Deadeye. So from that perspective, yeah, if she face tanks a shot, she also comes with attack speed finish, so she can heal back damage as well, and also she gets some more dealt damage off of attack speed finish 4, which is pretty solid as well. Overall, just, you know, she's a fine combat unit. Basically, some people are like thinking about running counter roar on her, and that really doubles down on, if you don't kill me, I'm going to absolutely nuke you out of this world. But I do think Null C Disrupt 4 definitely has a place for her, in the respect of you're probably going to have to run her with, say, Fallen Maria or someone with miracle support, because I'm gonna be, especially if she's not in a player's hands, like you're facing her in Arena Assault, chances are if you attack stick up a red Dragon Slayer, you're probably going to be able to one-shot. That's just how it is. Even if she's maxed out, has a, okay, interesting. We'll be back. This is Jank. Okay, not entirely sure what that error is. I was having problems loading up Faye on Wi-Fi, so we're gonna just not be on Wi-Fi. Curious maneuver. This will totally change our... This is actually would be a good circle if it was high enough pity rate. Technically speaking, in our instances, the best case scenario, if we are in a higher pity rate and going full circle, would be picking up like rearmed Tana, but the pity rates, I don't know, it's too low. We do get our first ever legendary Ninian, pretty solid, can't complain there. But back to Alear. So of course being able to attack twice is great. Her base attack's not ideal. It's definitely feasible for her to get walled on pretty hard from folks like running some sort of hard tech damage reduction that can't be pierced, but going back to what we were talking about if you don't kill her, she's going to probably nuke you out of this world, especially since she has speed, because of course her special. You're probably going to want to be able to nuke in one shot. In Arena Assault, I've already run the calcs. It's very possible to just build up a budget red Dragon Slayer that stacks up enough attack to one-shot, even though she can debuff attack by, or all your stats by up to 10, assuming of course she's within 3 spaces of 2 allies. from distinct titles or aka one harmonized hero. So honestly, from an arena assault perspective, yeah, chances are a lot of the times you're gonna be debuffed by 10, or I mean, most of the time she's going to be within 3 spaces of a unit, just in general. So, worst comes to worst. Wait, yeah, you get debuffed by -7, which is still a lot. Granted, as well, she's also going to have to be facing foes that debuff attack and speed. So, having that brave weapon and that lower base attack, getting debuffed for attack matters a lot more, but she offsets it a bit by being able to debuff the foe's stats pretty easily as well. Overall, it just kind of ends up approximately turning out to be as if no one had any debuffs. This is very simplified, of course. And so it's just basically raw stats against each other. So that's definitely a thing. Guard is definitely going to be an issue for Legendary Alear. So having support, say like the recent Brave Male Robin or Rally Spectrum, it's going to be super solid to combo on her just because she gets that one extra cooldown acceleration before she gets to attack. So even if they have guard because of attack speed pledge, she's still going to be able, assuming again the opponent doesn't have tempo, which is definitely not literally everywhere, she's going to be able to get that proc hit. And of course, if you're running as an enemy phase unit and in a player's hand, so you can stack that 40% damage reduction with another 40% damage reduction, and then the 30% damage reduction from, I don't know, you could use Counter Roar or Null C Disrupt 4. I personally think Null C Disrupt 4 is just, it's cheaper, but in my opinion, in this meta where counterattacking is important, I think it would be more annoying to face. Because at least against, if you're up against Counter Roar, as long as she doesn't have any means of healing, you could definitely chip her down into the arena assault with no counterattack units like healers. So, in my opinion, Null C Disrupt 4 is definitely more annoying, but for general performance, yeah, you're probably going to want to, on the higher budget, run something like Counter Roar 4. But us casuals on a budget are a little strapped for resources, just casually be able to chuck premium fodder everywhere, but I mean, we're kind of on a premium fodder summoning spree recently anyways. Definitely don't regret it, that's for sure. It's not a surprise. That's the whole reason why we did it, but getting pretty lucky so far as well, just to go into the summoning of actually having green orbs. 1 Ninian so far, pretty solid rates overall, I would say. We started with, I think it was 2050 orbs. So if we're being very stingy, we would assume that we're pretty close to summoning another focus hero on average, but again, that's on average. So not the end of the world if we don't. And if I didn't mention already, we are budgeting about 400 orbs for this banner, just because that's about 90th percentile for us to get at least one copy of Legendary Male Robin. So that is certainly a thing. Hopefully we don't have to go that far, but you know. If we've seen anything from our recent summonings on these kind of banners, yeah, anything goes. But yeah, in terms of just like trying to hit end turn on Alear, of course, miracle effects are super strong here because she doesn't have enough damage output unless to threaten one-shots on the first attack unless Dragon Blast is already pre-charged. So that is certainly a thing as well. Miracle effects, but of course you can quad as well. Her speed is fine. Again, it's pretty much what you would expect for some speedy unit in 2023. She of course has quite a bit of BST as well. We just cannot deal with the score increases for our budget memes. We really need to get stronger core units. I really should just build a Grail unit purely for score botting, just because at this point, if I build a new Grail unit, I just get an automatic 2-point ceiling increase because my core units are that old. But you know, we're not gonna worry about that part. We're just gonna worry about the part where we're climbing pity rate again, like last time we were summoning on, was it the mythic? What's his name? Mythic Prayer banner? Yeah, that was not great. Still ended out okay, but these banners are very volatile, so that's why we gotta budget so many orbs. It's definitely going to be annoying to face when you're up against your own player's hands, but I think from an AI perspective, if people like slap around Ether Rage defense, I'm not as scared, just because, again, if you look at her effects here, on the special, the key thing here, she doesn't have the damage reduction piercing in an AI's hands, and that's kind of a problem. I'm just saying. That's the big thing. I think people are kind of maybe they're overreading it, or I'm reading it wrong or something, but that is kind of a big deal. Because then if she doesn't pierce damage reduction, now you have this problem where you can just get walled by folks with damage reduction, like say with Gambit, where it's not a speed check, so her being fast isn't going to mean over damage reduction, for example. So here we do get legendary male Robin. Cool. Do we want to greed? Well, we're gonna finish at the very least by summoning these 2 green orbs. I don't think there's any reason for us to summon on the blue orbs at all. We're definitely gonna back out from summoning on those. Just a matter of, do we want to summon for 1 copy of legendary Alear? I'm not sure. Technically speaking, if this was a legendary Alear summoning session, then technically, you know, we're still within budget. It's just not ideal. So it's about 100. We're just gonna round it up to 150 orbs about for 1 copy of legendary male Robin, and we do get plus speed, which is pretty solid. Minus defense is honestly about what I would want, because you don't want minus HP in my opinion, because literally his entire kit is based off of having at least 25% HP. So I don't think you want to lower his HP, so that's definitely fine. I don't know, because we've already picked up a legendary Ninian as well. Getting merges might be okay for like if he's bonus or something in arena, but that's very niche and doesn't really matter. I will pause the video and think about it a bit. Probably won't be much thinking. Alright, we've decided after not too much thinking that we are just going to greed for the heck of it. I don't feel like having a one-of is going to hurt us, let's put it that way. It's more of, are we really going to use her past her bonus season? And again, the big thing is you can't really use her in Ether Rage defense, because again, she doesn't pierce damage reduction. You would have to run something like Special Spiral or Water, which seems kind of overkill. I don't know what to think of that. That's the big thing that's making it hard for me to really be sold on picking up a copy. But I mean, what do you think? So, like in general, her damage output when you're putting her in the AI's hands is from quadding and proccing her special twice, which is a lot of damage. It's just, is it enough damage long term? And again, the whole attack debacle thing is a bit suspicious. I don't know. Of course, being an infantry unit, she definitely is going to have mobility issues. You could argue, like, there's plenty of mobility options running around nowadays, but just as a base unit, even heck, when I'm definitely using Brave Male Robin wrong in, say, Summoner duels, but even getting him into combat's pretty hard. Just because, sure, he has massive warp range, and even if the foe doesn't have, the other player isn't running, I don't know, Legendary Myrrh with Warp Bubble or Gatekeeper with Detail Report, I just have a very hard time getting a melee unit into combat in those instances. So I feel like Legendary Alear is gonna end up being used a lot for enemy phasing with that option 2 player phase. Or you might have to do that thing where you just wait for the enemy to come to you and then player phase them, which is, in my opinion, kind of eh. But at the end of the day, she'll be fine. I've definitely already one-shot her quite a few times. Like, even in Abyssal, the Abyssal Legendary the map, I already had Nino one-shot her. Of course, we had damage reduction piercing, because otherwise, how the heck are we gonna one-shot against that much damage reduction? No, that's not happening. I should probably run some calcs to see how well she survives, or how well it is to get a unit to tanker when she's in the AI hands, because if she's in a player's hands, yeah, I don't think the average unit's going to stand a chance. Hey look, it's time to spark Alear, Kappa. Joking aside. Yeah, that's the main thing. And of course, the matter is, how will she age? Having the Brave weapon is strong, attack speed pledge, having that special cooldown acceleration is super strong. I just really can't see it going too south until her stats are not enough, basically, and her damage output devolves into just being her special. Which, if we go back through history, the history of Fae, relying on your special only for damage has never aged well for the most part. There's a couple exceptions. Those are trivial enough as an exercise for the viewer. But for the most part, being completely reliant on your special makes you a much weaker nuke. Being able to leverage specials to make you a better nuke is definitely better. But in this meta, you kind of have to spam out specials to pick up kills on super tanks anyways. So, you might say that kind of argument's invalid, but I mean, there's a lot of things coming into 2024, which is around the corner pretty much for this game. That stuff, units like Lucia, who just straight up prevent all special procs together, there's a reason why she's been able to age okay. Of course, like, I don't know if I mentioned it in a video, but I basically said that Lucia can't age well unless there are options to give her more stats, and there are. We have, of course, Legendary Male Robin, who we just summoned recently, a few minutes ago. We have Legendary Elwood if you want some bonus doubler shenanigans. We got Brave Male Robin for in-combat Rally Spectrum shenanigans. And of course, there's also tools like Gambit, or on Lucia, you can run her with the Miracle set, so you can get that max damage reduction without having to worry about speed checks, which is nice. But unfortunately for us, we're gonna have to check our budget soon on summoning here, because unfortunately we are hitting around, we are now approaching about past average rates for getting a specific Focus 5-star, a single copy of a specific Focus 5-star on one of these banners, which is roughly 200. I just average round numbers out to make it, because I don't, with the amount of orbs we have, I don't really need to be entirely precise. And of course, nothing's very deterministic in this game. It's very probabilistic, so the only thing that's deterministic is our daily damage cog. And we get memed on by getting another legendary Ninian, but honestly, we could merge, we could fodder, we could do all sorts of things. It's 9.5. Again, best case scenario here would be double Riamtana. I don't know. Is it really worth the orbs? This is 9.5 is the thing, minus attack. For fodder, she does have attack speed catch 4. Near trace is kind of whatever to us, and V-Shooter is not really something we care about right now in this meta. So, to summon or not to summon? It's really hard, but I think we are just gonna save orbs. Because I think our biggest regret is going to be not having enough orbs to plus 10 and 1 go the latest greatest duo hero who I think is going to age reasonably. Honestly though, I was kind of surprised the other day when I was looking at Duo Asker again, and I already mentioned this in a video I think, but for the longest time I thought that Duo Asker had 20% dealt damage based off of his defense as well. He doesn't have that. So I was like, that's a little awkward. So I can understand why I'm able to wall him much better now. That is certainly a thing. I don't know why it didn't occur to me, but apparently he doesn't have it, but his support is just insane. Duo skill combined with open domain is incredibly powerful, especially in summoner duels. We see all sorts of turn 1 accelerate all of your ally specials to free charge so they can run AoEs on melee units, or just set up special spiral 4 memes on higher cooldown specials and whatnot. So there's definitely, I think he'll still age okay. It's just a matter of his combat abilities, because I am able to, with our meme shenanigans, I can still pick up 1-round KOs on Duo Asker through his damage reduction, especially since he can't always kill on the counter, because he only has that one attack, which of course can be a special style 4 if you're worried about damage reduction. But yeah, his base attack is not absolutely through the roof. It's more about his bulk, and yeah, that's certainly a thing. But special spiral for Ignis though, that can hurt a little bit. Our orbs are hurting a little bit though. We're pretty much just trying to hover around the 2,000 orb range for when the newest greatest duo hero comes out. We're obviously going to be below 2,000 for a bit. I believe our total orb, we have like 100 orbs floating around still between like chain challenges and story maps and whatnot. So technically speaking, we're around 1889 orbs right now. But things aren't looking great for getting 1 copy of Alear. This is again, if this was a legendary Alear summoning video, we would be pretty sad right now with our rates. We do get a Lewin, which is actually solid because he has Special Spiral 3, which is great for pre-inheriting Special Spiral 4. And he does have Swift Sparrow as well, which goes well with pre-inheriting some particularly new skills like Flared Sparrow, or just any of the newer Sparrow skills that we don't use because we're too budget to grab them. But at least that doesn't reset our pity rate, which is cool. Definitely sensing that legendary Alear doesn't want to be in our barracks, which is fine because we were bashing on her a lot with for overall combat performance, but yeah, not being able to pierce damage reduction is definitely a problem to have. She's definitely going... She has enough attack right now to where she's not going to be doing 0x4 to everybody. For the... Like, even against some pretty reasonable tanks, I think she's going to be able to churn out at least, I don't know, even on the low side, 5 damage in attack, combined with a... What is it called again? Dragon Blast, which is at least 30 damage, if not 35, 40 damage. We do get her here and watch her be minus speed. We're gonna summon the Colorless Orb for the fun of it, but yeah, there's no real upside other than getting a rearmed Tana, which again would be nice, but not the end of the world if we don't get it. And of course we don't get her. Let's see here. Overall, about 300, just under 300 orbs. And not ideal rates, but you know, we'll take it. And plus attack's definitely solid here to get that extra damage. Minus HP's not entirely ideal if you're trying to enemy phase with her, but I mean, you would just have to merge at that point anyways. So definitely pretty decent IVs. Can't complain. Overall, our summoning session though is pretty poor in terms of 5-star rates. We only picked up 4 or 5 stars, and the exact number of orbs, what is that? 284? I don't know. I'm not doing this right, am I? About 280. Wait. No, we started with 2050. Yeah, so 284 or so orbs, which is about 70 orbs of 5-star, which is pretty bad rates for Legendary Heroes banner. Typically, with the amount of orbs we spent, we would expect to get at least one more. But at least we got a Lewin from 4-star special focus, so not the end of the world. But yeah, that's gonna be it for this episode. Thanks for watching. As always, it's Ether Dragon, and hope to see you all next time. Bye.